There's a dog barking. Hi everyone, in this video we're going to look at a very simple method that you can use to improve your vocabulary in a foreign language. Most people who watch my channel are of course trying to improve their English, but you can use this method for any language you're learning. This is called the gold list method. This isn't a method that I developed myself. It was created by a man named David James, who's quite a well-known polyglot. The aim of this method is to remember vocabulary in the long term. I've watched several videos online with people explaining how they use this method, and there is a bit of variation, so I'm just going to tell you how I use it. I started using it for Portuguese a couple of years ago, and even though I haven't been very consistent, I really think it has helped me to retain vocabulary. And I really wish that I'd known about this method several years ago when I was learning other languages. Okay, the first thing you need to do is get a notebook. It should be roughly this size. You'll see in a moment why it needs to be relatively big. Next, you need to write a list of 25 words or phrases in your target language. In other words, the language that you're trying to learn. For me, that's Portuguese. On the other side, you write the translation in your native language. Some people do 20 words or phrases. I do 25. It's your choice. Now, this list here is called a head list. You should also number them. It doesn't really matter how you do it. I started with 1, went down to 25. I started the next page at 50, the next page at 75, etc. It's just nice because you get an idea of how many words you're learning. Like when you get to 300, you can say, oh wow, I've learned 300 words. And if you do it consistently, it could quickly grow to several thousand. It is also important that you put the date at the top. Okay, so that's the first step. Next, you wait 2 weeks. You don't revise this, you don't put the words into Anki, nothing. Is it Anki or Anki? I haven't figured that out. Anyway, you don't look at this list. What you can do is make new head lists with other words and phrases. So you skip one page and then you start a new list. The next page needs to be blank. There aren't really any rules regarding how many lists you make per day, but honestly, I wouldn't do more than 1 or 2. At the end of the 2 weeks, you come back to the list. It doesn't have to be exactly 2 weeks, but they say that you should wait more than 2 weeks, but less than 2 months. In other words, you should wait 2 to 8 weeks, more or less. I sometimes waited more than 2 months because honestly, learning Portuguese isn't one of my main priorities at the moment. I'm just doing it for fun. But as I said, even though I haven't been very consistent, I still feel that this has helped me. If I had been consistent, my Portuguese would probably be better. When you come back to the list, you quiz yourself. There are a few different ways to do this. It depends on what you want to accomplish. For example, you can cover the target language, so I could cover the Portuguese and see if I remember what it is in English, or I could cover the English to see if I remember the Portuguese. Normally I cover the Portuguese because I want to see what I can actively remember. Some people don't cover anything. If I remember the meaning, I put a tick, and if I don't, I put a dot. Believe me, most of the time you will remember some of these words even without revising. I then take the words that I didn't remember and I create a new list. This is on the opposite page. So here's the head list and here's the second list. This process is called the first distillation. I also think it's nice if you can use different colored pens. And make sure that you put the date at the top. Some people say that this second list should be a certain number of words. I don't follow that. For me, it's different every time. But it should be between 50 and 80% of the first list. You then wait another 2 to 8 weeks and you do the same thing. You write the date, you quiz yourself, and then you write the words that you don't remember down here. This is called the second distillation. So this is the third list. You then repeat the process and you get a fourth list. By that stage, you'll be running out of room, so you'll need to get a second book. In the second book, you're going to create new head lists, but they're going to be made up of the words in the fourth list. So, for example, I could take these words, and then these words, and these words, so that it adds up to 25. Okay, so this is the second book. This list here is just made up of words and phrases from the fourth lists in the first book. I then just keep repeating the process. It's really up to you when you stop. You might get to the fourth list in the second book and say, hey, if I haven't remembered it by now, it's cool, I'm going to stop there. Or you might take these words, put them into another book, and just continue the process. If you're wondering why you should wait at least 2 weeks each time, it's because if you do it sooner, you won't know if something is stored in your long-term memory. And if you wait longer than 2 months, well, there's a good chance that you'll forget everything. But remember, while you're waiting, you've got things to do. You could be writing another head list, or doing the first distillation, or the second distillation, or the third distillation on another page. How you choose to do it is your choice. I know some people prefer to have a lot of structure and will do it every day, but if you're more like me, you might just pick up the books when you have time or when you feel like it and see where you've stopped last. Just a couple more points before we finish. You might be wondering, but where do I get all these words? Do I just randomly choose words from a dictionary? Well, no. I actually have another notebook where I first write words and phrases that I come across. I might find them on YouTube, on Instagram, or on websites for learning Portuguese. It really doesn't matter, you might hear a word in a series, but they should be words or phrases that you've heard or seen used in context. Or they might be specific words that you want to learn. For example, you might be in your room and then think, oh, how do you say light in that language? And then you can obviously look it up and write it down. You also don't need to use a notebook. I like paper, but you might have a list on your phone that you then transfer to your gold list books. Another important point, try to focus on this while you're doing it and don't rush through it. I admittedly sometimes listen to music at the same time because after all, it's quite a passive activity, but I don't watch series or try to do things that require concentration. If you're going through it very quickly, your brain just probably won't absorb much information. That's it, guys. I know that this might seem really simple, but honestly, it's been working for me, and I really wish that I had discovered this method sooner. I know some people might say, well, why don't you just use apps like Anki or Memrise? Those are based on similar principles, mainly spaced repetition, but I personally have never liked flashcards, and I also don't like spending too much time on screens. In addition to that, I also think I learn better if I'm physically writing something with a pen. But I encourage you to try different things. At the end of the day, you need to find something that works for you. If you have tried the gold list method, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you like the video, and I'll see you next time. Oh, I don't know about the light. Should when you come. So you need to write